Testing, testing.
Thank you.
podium. Okay, guys, this is for House Bill 565, and the number is 520. Hey! Yay, we're official!
Hey.
Call Penny, tell her she doesn't have to come. Okay, all right, let me. I officially call this meeting of the Community and Public Health Committee together and turn this over to Representative Smith for House Bill 565. You've got the floor.
Thank you, Chairwoman. It's so good to see y'all today. We'll make this as quickly as we can. I'm working off of LC number 52029S. And just want to make sure we had that. Thank you. I want to start by thanking Madam Chair for her hard work with me on this. This is a situation, just to let y'all know, I was listening to some of the situations that our people find themselves in this state, and I'll be honest with you, I got teared up twice when I heard this within 2 weeks of each other. There are certain individuals out there, in order to buy diapers for their children and still not run afoul of being excluded from our TANF program, they had to sell their car just to buy diapers for their children. And it's almost going to bring me to tears again here today, but when I heard that, you wouldn't think that I'd be one to carry something like this, but when our people are forced to make those sort of decisions, something's wrong with the system, and we got to fix it. So today I bring you this substitute with that in mind. As far as why you may wonder why we need to pass this legislation, just to let you know what TANF is, first and foremost, it's a temporary and supplemental monthly cash assistance program that assists needy families and enables them to continue caring for their children at home. Amongst a number of other eligibility requirements, a family of 3 must have a gross income, get this, below $784 a month to receive TANF. TANF amounts: currently eligible families in Georgia receive $280 a month for a family of 3. The TANF benefit amount has not increased in more than 30 years, despite the rising cost of living and inflation. Just to let you know, I'm only 32 and a half myself. That's how long this has been. I was born in 90. TANF is funded from federal grants and state MOE contributions. In 2020, Georgia was awarded a TANF block grant of $330 million, and we're thankful for that. Unspent block grants can be carried over by the state year over year. As of 2020, Georgia has $107 million in unspent TANF block grant funds. This bill raises the resource limit, as you'll know, to $5,000, roughly 6 months of income for a family of 3 making $785 a month. This bill would allow for families to have one main work vehicle that is not counted as an asset, which is in line with our state SNAP program. Lastly, it raises the benefit duration to March the federal limits of 60 months. And so if you got any questions about asset limits, I got a little information for you on that for this bill and what it would do. Eligibility for TANF in Georgia requires that individuals have less than $1,000 in assets and $4,650 for a vehicle, which is the lowest asset limit of all southern states: Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, and even Mississippi. This limit has been counterproductive to TANF goals because it has discouraged our families from saving and achieving financial independence. I know a lot of folks in my party personally were about making sure this is not a generational thing, and I think a lot of members of the other party feel that same way. We want people to get out of this cycle of poverty. Assets such as vehicles impact a family's TANF eligibility. If you hadn't noticed, we're not riding horse and buggy anymore, and a lot of folks, especially in my area, we don't have transit, and we can't really ask our local governments to fund transit like y'all have here in the metro areas. So this is a step in the right direction and would keep them from, like I noted to you before, having to sell that vehicle just to provide for basic health and hygiene. Raising this asset limit will not lead to TANF overuse, contrary to what you may hear about it. Raising the asset limit is not an overexpansion, like I said before. For example, a family of 3, they cannot make more than $785, and TANF will still continue to have a work requirement. So, Madam Chair, briefly, that is the synopsis of the bill, and if I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't be here. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have had many hands helping me and raising me, but a lot of these folks don't have that anymore, and I believe the changes to the program as outlined in this substitute will put our folks where they need to be to actually break this cycle of poverty.
Thank you very much. I especially don't think you should have to sell, if we want people to be independent and to work, the fact that your car that you are using for work or go to education or whatever you do to try to get to better yourself, having to sell that because it's, $50, $100 over the limit, then how do you get to work or go to school to better yourself? It's just counterproductive. So I thank you for bringing that, and we have questions from the committee. Representative Anilowicz.
Thank you. Chairman Smith, you mentioned that you think people might be surprised to see you carrying this bill, and I have to say that having worked with you on several other pieces of legislation and having gotten to know you over the past 2 years, this does not surprise me at all. And thank you for bringing us this bill today.
Thank you, Representative Knowles. I always enjoy partnering with you on such matters. Thank you.
Well, and let me just put in, as I talked to the representative and what he said, basically it's the right thing to do. And I would think that would be a good motto for all of us to follow, it, just doing what is right. And I thank you for that too. Okay, Representative Fry.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, I think my seatmates don't have comments. I was asking them to hit my button because they're not lighting up. So, but appreciate your recognition. To my seatmate, yes, this is an incredible opportunity to raise that, especially when we talk about wanting people to save money, and a nest egg, especially for somebody in precarious situations, is extremely important. I do have to ask if there's any way that we could potentially raise the income requirement, in the idea that if we do have a work requirement for 30 hours a week at $7.25 an hour, it's $11,000-ish. But at the work if you take the you can't make more than $9,420. So there's a difference there of the $9,400 and the $1,100 something dollars that you would make at a minimum wage job. And I just feel like it's going to tamp down folks that maybe could use the program. So would there be any appetite for that to occur?
I subject myself to the will of this committee. Just, keep in mind, we got to get 91 votes on this if we can get it to the floor. So I think this is progress, and so I'm open to it, but just ask that y'all keep that in mind as we go forward.
Follow up, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Thank you for this, Representative Smith, and appreciate your response, and I respect that response, and I think that's what we ought to do.
And what's the difference between the two? Is $7.25 the?
Well, at $7.85 times 12, it's $9,420. At the 30-hour a week work requirement, assuming that that's 52 weeks a year, would be $11,310 at minimum wage, which is probably so basically the benefit would only apply to certain categories of workers that are allowed to get paid less than minimum wage in the state of Georgia, which would be non-farm workers, home health workers, et cetera, et cetera. Not saying that they are. I'm just saying that that's what the legislation, the law actually states. So.
And, I think we had this conversation when we talked about it before with my seatmate, and I appreciate that. That is the issue, because you're dancing all around the qualification, whether you qualify or not. So I'm completely open to that, and we can make that argument when and if we have to make it.
Betsy, how hard would it be to put that somewhere in the bill?
So you're not talking about just changing the $5,000 figure?
No, you're talking about changing what? How much they can make a year, or, okay,
It's not the work requirements, it's changing the dollar amount per month that gets them eligibility.
Representative Al?
Contribute to this part of the calculation. One thing that we had discussed, I think, between many of us in this room, is tying that income requirement to what the federal poverty level is at the moment as a percentage of that, because that makes it less of a static figure that we have to keep coming back to update, which you know, it's hard to get.
Don't.
But I'm just saying, I'm putting this out there. However, what I'm going to say is I feel we're incredibly lucky to have Representative Smith draft this, and I think that one of the things sometimes we can let perfect be the enemy of good. So I think this is a good start of this conversation, and we can certainly come back and look at these things, but I don't want to jeopardize what is a really
Right.
good and important, timely step by putting too many apples on the cart, even though they're very important apples.
See, Representative Smith, how would you feel about if we didn't change it right now, you know, we can pass out a bill
Yes, ma'am.
and we can substitute something before it gets to the Senate?
I'm open to that, Madam Chair. I think that's very prudent and wise, and I appreciate the doctor mentioning that too. And I appreciate your discretion on it too. You've been here long enough that you know how these things need to work.
Okay, let me get a couple more questions. Representative Hutchinson and Representative Reese.
I just want to thank you for bringing this bill up. I think it's fantastic. I just had a question about the, you're changing the maximum lifetime from 48 months to 60. I thought that was a federal requirement. So can we change that?
So as far as, and this is kind of getting back to my lawyer side of it, federal law and federal constitution creates the basement level of rights that are guaranteed to the folks. The state can expand those, so that's part of what we're doing as a state. That's still, that thankfully the 10th Amendment allows us to really do that sort of thing, so a good argument for the 10th
The only reason why
Amendment.
that information is taking up rent in my head is I was working for DFACS when that passed.
Gotcha.
I was a worker when
You were on the ground working hard, I'm sure.
Very.
Representative Reese.
At the appropriate time, Madam Chairwoman.
Okay. If the committee will allow me, I think that probably the most prudent thing to do, rather, Representative Fry, than add this to this bill, to see if we can do that, is that for Representative Smith to see after this bill, if we get it out of the House, to at least raise it to where that it matches what you could earn for a year, making the minimum wage at 30 hours a week. Is maybe, and it would consider that, at least start off with that. So, I mean, that just seems like common sense. But at this late date, with not enough time to, to get another copy and so forth, I think that's the prudent. So if that's the case, then Representative Reese, I'll entertain you for a motion.
Madam Chair, as it relates to House Bill 565, LC 520298S, I recommend do pass.
Okay, I've got to do pass in a second. Other discussion? Okay, I've got people that would like to speak to it. Miss Jamie Lackey? Pardon?
If you all need to get back to the floor, we can.
Pass? Okay. Madison Scott? You pass also? Okay, but we did see people from the department. Did they leave? Okay. Would you like to come and?
No, we have no objections or concerns about this.
Okay, thank you very much, okay. So if that's anybody else? All right, that takes care of all of us. Then we have a motion and a second. Everyone in favor of the passage of House Bill 565, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank everybody here that has worked with us on this. They have put in the work for many years. and this is a credit to them, and thank y'all, members of the committee.
And I do hope you'll be able to, I mean, this committee would really like to see you get that amendment.
Yes, ma'am.
If you feel like if it amends over. And if you go to rules now and then get me to sign it on the floor, hopefully this could get on the consideration calendar for tomorrow and not one of the follow-ups on
I'm
crossover
headed
day.
right there now, Madam Chair.
Okay,
Thank y'all
you.
so very much.
Okay. Representative Silcox? Is she still not here? Oh, okay. No? All right. It seems like I'm presenting a lot of other people's bills right at the moment. Okay, then I'm going to present this bill for House Bill 571. This was something that the department asked us for. And I don't have a marked, okay, what are we at? Okay, somebody from the department here can help me out on this? Okay, thank you, because I thought there was something on page 3 or 2, and I don't find that, where it just changed a name or something. Okay, thank you. Okay, all right, go ahead. And if I get there, okay, on page 2.
I'm not sure if I have exactly what you're referring to, but I
Okay,
can share with you.
Want a copy? Okay.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jackie Tate with the Department of Human Services, and I will share with you the reason why we have brought this request forward. This is a very simple bill. It just changes the requirements for the updates and the amendments to the Georgia Alzheimer's and Related Dementia State Plan. Currently, we're at 3 years, and we're asking that it be extended to 4 years to align with the federal reports that come out that would better allow us to align with the goals and the current priorities for the plans. Madam Chair, I'm not sure what line you're referring to.
I've got it. Okay, on page 2 is line 26. Oh, wait a minute. Lines 28. It just changed to go along with, it puts public health. Instead, it was human services on this, so it would
Yes,
be the
ma'am.
House Committee on Public Health.
Yes, ma'am.
And then down on line 33, it says a representative of the Georgia Council on Aging and the next one. And then where is it that it says it goes 3? There's just the 3 to 4. It's down page 3. Line 67, it goes from 3 years to 4 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And then on the other side, it's talking about, prior to submitting the amended state, the advisory council shall evaluate the latest data and statistics and so forth.
Right, and I should share that in between the 4 years, we will provide a midpoint report to give you an idea of the current trends that are moving forward, so that when we are due for an update, we will have that information. You guys will already be familiar with that information.
And then starting on January 1st, 2025, every 4 years, you'll get an official advisory council
ma'am.
report, and it will become to the General Assembly detailing the latest data and statistics.
That's correct.
So, questions from the committee? Okay, Representative Drenner.
This is for you, Madam Chair. Is the committee called Public Health, or is it Public and Community Health?
Well,
What's the name of the committee?
Really, it's Public and Community Health. Shall we change it?
Is that what's in the actual?
No, that's not in the House rules. Then it's Public Health in the House rules.
Okay.
I think the speaker calls it Public Health and Public and Community Health. I think you'll see it change probably 2 years from now to the official thing. So we have to stay with the way it is until it goes change. Thank you, Betsy, on that one. Okay, who else have I got? Okay. Other questions for the committee? Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Anybody else from the audience that would like to speak on the bill? No? Okay, what does the committee want? Okay, we got a do pass and a second. Thank you. Any discussion? Anybody think of a last thing? Then I think it's time to vote. Everybody in favor of the passage of House Bill 571, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? No, and the ayes have it. And we are dismissed, and we can get back to the floor. And thank you to everybody that showed up for this meeting. I really appreciate it. I got my steps in.